Welcome back to Pilates by Brianna. Today's workout is going to be a more advanced level workout, intermediate to advanced. We will be doing a lot of quad work, so just a heads up. It's a fun workout, but I could not walk for like 2 days after. We are going to get started with our footwork settings. So I have on 3 heavy reds and 1 medium blue on my balanced body machine. And I have my headrest down because we will be starting with some bridges. We don't need any equipment other than our box. So make sure you have your box nearby and go ahead and set up your spring setting and let's get started.
Come to lay on your backs and you'll put your feet on the foot bar just to start and just to find your neutral spine. So come into a comfortable position and then grab hold onto the pegs behind you. The legs will come up into tabletop. Bring both knees over to the left. The right hip will lift. Pause. Use the obliques to come back to center and then bring both legs over to the right. Pause. When you bring your legs back to the other side, back to the left, make sure the right shoulder stays down on the carriage. So we're working our obliques and we also get a nice stretch through our chest as well. We're going to just tick-tock our legs back and forth, just having that little pause so that way we really use our abdominals to bring the legs back up to center. We'll do one more on each side. Legs go to the left, back to center, and then to the right, back to center. And then you put your heels on the foot bar hip distance apart. Arms are at your side. Make sure the headrest is down for bridges. Engage the core as you roll the hips up off the carriage, lifting your spine 1 vertebrae at a time. Inhale at the top, exhale to roll back down 1 vertebrae at a time. We have 4 more like this, trying to keep the carriage in at the stopper, really rolling through our spine, moving our pelvis, getting everything warmed up. Exhale up, inhale at the top, exhale back down. Last one here. Exhale up, inhale at the top, exhale to roll back down. Once your hips are all the way on the carriage, you're going to bring the toes on the bar, heels together. We're in our Pilates V, and begin pressing the carriage out and in. When you press out, the legs will come together, our inner thighs will come together to touch, and then they'll widen, knees in line with the shoulders as you bring the carriage back in. Two more. Last one. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, bring the feet up to the arches, hip distance apart, and then begin pressing out and in. Toes are curled and the heels are heavy. You're getting a nice massage on the plantar fascia as you press into the foot bar. Last one. When the carriage has returned to the stopper, slide the feet up so the heels are on the bar. Initiating with the glutes, press out and in. Your feet are nice and dorsiflexed or kind of pointed towards you. And you're initiating the movement with the back of the legs. Exhale out, inhale back in. Last time out and in. And then you're going to bring the heels wide on the bar, hips are externally rotated, knees are wider than the shoulders as you press out and in. When you press out, you're trying to bring the sensation of bringing the heels closer together. The legs won't actually move closer together. You're just trying to initiate that and find that connection into the glutes. And then next time the carriage is in at the stopper, just drop the feet down so the toes are wide on the bar, hips are still externally rotated. Press out, pause, lower both heels under the bar, lift them up, bend the knees and come in. So we're just adding in a heel lift. You'll press out, do a heel lift, and then bend the knees in. So that will be the sequence. One more time. And then when the carriage is in, toes will go back hip distance on the bar. Press out, stay out. Bend your left knee, let the right heel drop under the bar for a stretch. So feeling a nice stretch in the calf of that right leg. And then go ahead and switch. Bend the right knee, let the left heel drop. And then you can straighten both legs, bend the knees and come in. Heels will go back on the bar, hip distance apart for bridges. So if you had raised up the headrest, put it down. Go ahead, lift the hips up, pause, bring the right knee in towards the chest and then up towards the ceiling. Lower lift that right leg 5 times. As you lower down, you're trying to keep the hips level. So you're really working into the left hamstring and glutes. Last one here. When the leg is up towards the ceiling, bend the knee, place the heel on the bar. Lift the hips up a little higher. Second side. Bring that left knee in, straighten the leg up towards the ceiling, and then we'll lower lift here 5 times. This time, really feeling the right glute and hamstring work to keep the hips even. And then bend that left knee, both heels on the bar. Lift up a little bit higher and then roll all the way down. Hug the knees into the chest. You can make big circles with your hips if you would like, or you can just keep holding the knees into the chest. If you're making the circles, go ahead and reverse. And then you're going to turn so that way you're on the side of the carriage, legs up in tabletop, hands behind your head. The back of the reformer is at the lower tip of the shoulder blade. For a chest lift, you're going to lower over the reformer and then use the upper abdominals to raise the head and shoulders back up. Inhale to lower, exhale back up. One more to go, and then next time chest is lifted, keep it lifted. You're going to move both legs away from you and then back up. So you're keeping the knees bent and moving from the hip. So the toes will go down towards the floor. They probably will not touch. That's okay. You're only dropping the legs down as far as you can, keeping the back on the carriage. Last 2. Last 1. And then we're going to alternate that. So when the legs are up in tabletop, let the head go back, come up into your chest lift, and then you'll lower the legs away from you and back up. And then we'll repeat. Do a chest lift over the reformer, back up, and then the legs. We've got 8 of these combination ones here. One more combination. And then when the legs are up in tabletop, you're going to grab hold behind the legs, curl up a little bit higher, finding that C curve. Hands will go back behind your head for crisscross. You're going to straighten out one knee as you bring the opposite elbow towards the bent knee and switch. And we're just switching back side to side, getting into our obliques. This is the last one in our set here. So almost there, stay strong. Last one here. And then you can grab hold behind the legs and rock and roll yourself up to a seated position. I like to just kind of stretch out my low back after doing those, so I'm rounded over my legs. And then come back up. You're going to take off all your springs except for one medium blue spring. And then come to sit facing the risers with the legs through the shoulder blocks, arms are crossed. Pick up the short loops. You're going to scoop and roll back. Pause here, bring both arms out to a T, and then back in front of you. So arms will come out to a T, back in front of you. We're doing some core work and all of our posterior muscles. Two more. On this last one, hold the arms in a T, and then you're going to drop down to one side, back to center, and then to the other. So we're kind of side bending here. We're going from side to side. As you dip towards one side, the opposite arm will go up towards the ceiling. One more to each side. And then once you're back up to center, come all the way up. You can, if your legs are crossed, you can switch them now. And then you're going to scoop, roll back, hold, and we're going to bring the right arm up towards the ceiling and the left arm will stay low. And we'll stick with that same pattern. So the right arm up on a diagonal, left arm low on a diagonal. We've got 8 here. Last one. And then we'll switch. So now it's going to be right arm will be low on a diagonal, left arm is high on the diagonal. We're still in our C curve, neck is in line with the body, shoulders are down away from the ears. One more to go. And then you can come all the way up, hang up the straps, and just melt over the legs, just finding a little release in the low back. And then you can come on up. You're going to put the short box on, and you're going to add on one heavy spring. So for me, that's one heavy red spring. For some glute work, you're going to come to kneel on the carriage. 4 arms will be on the box. You're pressing up through the shoulders. You're going to put the right heel on the bar and begin pressing out and in, squeezing into the glute as you press out. Nice controlled motions, trying to find a full knee extension on that right leg. You're strong through the shoulders as well. Core is engaged. We'll make this our last one. And then slide that right foot up so that way the right toes are on the bar, and we're going to repeat. We have about 8 to 10 here. Pressing out, trying to find that knee extension, so that full knee straightening, and then controlling it back in. One more. And then when the carriage is in, you're going to make a quarter turn. So that way the left forearm is on the box, the left leg is over the side of the reformer, the entire right foot is on the bar, and press out and in here. Working a bit more into our glute medius. Two more. Last one. And then when the carriage is in, both knees will go back on the carriage, turn to face the box, and we will repeat that on the second side. So your left heel will find the bar and begin pressing out and in. Nice and controlled, still strong through the stomach, nice line through the back, and your head is in line with the body. Try not to let it hang down. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, slide the foot up so the left toes are on the bar. And same thing, we have 8 to 10 pressing out and in here. Exhale out, inhale to control the carriage back in. Nice steady breathing. Last one. And then you'll take a quarter turn, putting the right forearm on the box. The right foot will be off the edge of the reformer, the entire left foot on the bar, pressing out and in here. We have one more to go. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, you're going to sit on the box. Feet can be on the carriage for a figure 4 stretch, stretching the hips. And then I'm just taking off my one red spring, so I'm left on the one medium blue. Cross the right ankle over the left knee, sit up nice and tall. For more of a stretch, you can hinge forward, feeling a stretch in that right outer hip. And then you can uncross and switch. Left ankle will cross the right knee, find your flat back, and then for more of a stretch, you can hinge forward from the waist. Uncross your legs and then step off to your left, and you're going to put the box next to the carriage. That way it's already set up for the next thing we're going to do. We're on our one medium blue spring. You're going to come up to kneeling on the carriage. I'm putting my hand through the short loop and hanging onto the tape. I'm sitting back on my heels to start. Left hand will go behind your head. As you come up to a tall kneeling, you're going to row with that right hand. And then as the arm goes forward, you're sitting back towards the heels. So we're working our quads here as well as some of our posterior muscles. Now we're going to do that same thing, but add a rotation. So starting at the heels, we're coming up to tall kneeling. You're rowing with the right arm as you rotate towards your right. And then you can come up to tall kneeling. You're going to rock back, keeping the spine straight, arms straight. And then once you come up to a tall kneeling, you have your row with rotation. So we're just alternating doing a rock back. Then once you're up, row with rotation. It's on a light spring, so you might not be able to go very far into your rocking back position. That's okay, as long as you feel the quads engaging here. And we're just alternating that rock back with the row with rotation. This is the last one. And then once you're up, you can pause. You're going to put the right foot on the headrest, tuck the left toes underneath you. You're in a half kneeling position for our chest expansion. I'm on the short loop. So you're pulling back, control it forward. You're reaching up nice and tall through the crown of the head. You're pulling back with that right arm and then controlling it forward. Last one here. And then make sure the left toes are tucked, because now you're going to pull that right arm back, hold it back. You're going to lift the left knee up off the carriage and then lower it back down to a hover. You can tap if you would like. So we're just raising up that left knee and lowering it back down, finding our balance, finding our leg work here. If you don't feel comfortable here, keep that left knee down and keep going with the chest expansion. Now you're going to find your hover pause for tricep press. So that left knee is still lifted above the carriage and you're just bending and straightening into that right arm. Trying to hold that balance. One more. And then you can lower back down. Hang up that strap. We're going to come we're going to put on the lightest spring that you have, take off that medium blue, and then I'm coming around to my box. This is eccentric quad work, so if it's too challenging on a light spring, you can make the spring heavier. You have your left foot up on the carriage, right foot is on the box. You're going to lunge forward, bending into that left knee. The right one will stay straight as the arms go up by your ears. And then control the carriage back in. The carriage coming back in part is the more challenging part. That's where that eccentric quad work comes in. So again, if this is too much, you can always go to a heavier spring. If it's too easy, you want more of a challenge, you can always go to no springs. Next time you press out, hold it out. Now to bring the carriage in, you're going to bend into the right knee, the knee on the box, and then use that right leg to press out. Arms are coming into a goal post position as you bring the carriage in, and back up towards the ears as you reach forward. We have 8 of these. Last one, bring the carriage all the way in. You're going to turn to kind of angle the carriage a bit, and your hands are going to be on the carriage, left leg in front of you. You're going to press out to plank, bring that left knee towards the right elbow, back out behind you, bend into the right knee to bring the carriage back in. And then you'll press out again, left knee to right elbow, bend into the right knee to bring the carriage back in. We're going for 8 here. Last one. And then when the carriage is in, you'll step the right foot behind the left, press out to plank, kind of like a snake, and then pike your hips to bring the carriage back in. Press out, the hips will lower, the right hip will be lower than the left one, chest will lift, pike the hips to bring the carriage all the way back in. We have 8 again here. Last one. And then when the carriage is all the way in, you can come all the way up to standing and step off the box. We're going to bring the box to the other side of the carriage, right next to the carriage, or the other side of the reformer, excuse me. And then we're going to put on that one medium blue spring and take off your light spring. And we're going to start with kneeling on the carriage facing the risers. The hips are down by the heels to start. You're holding on to the tape of that left strap with your left hand. We've got our row as you come up into a high kneeling position. So right hand will go behind the head, come up to a high kneeling as you row, and then sit the hips back towards the heels. So we've got our row, and then sit the hips back towards the heels. Last one. And then next time you come up, we're going to add in that rotation. So same thing, but now as you row, you're rotating towards that left side. And then pause. Come up to a high kneeling position for our rock back. So you're going to rock back, come all the way up, and then the row with rotation. Rock back, come all the way up, row with rotation. Last time through. Good work. Now you're going to hold on to the short loop. You're going to put the left foot on the headrest, tuck the right toes underneath you, and we have the chest expansion on this side. So you're just pulling back with that left arm for our chest expansion, engaging the muscles all around that left shoulder blade, and then letting the arm come back up. We have 8 here. Last one. Now you're going to pull back again, hold it back, and we've got our lunges. So you're lifting that right knee up and then hovering it back above the carriage and then raising back up. We're going for 8 of these. Lower the knee down to a hover and then engage all the muscles of the legs, the glutes, the quads, kind of everything to come back up. Now bring it down to a hover and we've got our tricep press. Bend the elbow, straighten the elbow on that left side. If you need to put the knee down, you can, but try to keep it lifted if you're able to, using again all those leg muscles for stability for our balance. 2 more. Last one. And then very carefully lower down, hang up that strap. You're going to put on your lightest spring that you have. So for me, that's a yellow spring. Take off the medium. Come around till you're on the box. Standing, you have the right foot on the carriage, the left foot on the box. As you lunge into that right knee, keeping the back leg straight, you're raising the arms up towards the ceiling by your ears. Bend into the right knee, arms go up. And then the work here is controlling the carriage back in. On this next one, we'll hold it out, bend the left knee to bring the carriage in, and then press out. Arms come down to goal post. So now we're using that left leg to bring the carriage out and in. The right knee stays bent the entire time. Two more, almost there. Last one. Good work. So now hands will come to the carriage. Your right leg is going to go behind you. Come out to plank. Bring the right knee towards that left elbow and then bend into the left knee to bring the carriage back in as the right leg goes behind you. So a few different movements here. We're using that left quad lock to bring the carriage out and in, but we're holding it out in plank and doing that rotation of the right knee to the left elbow. Last one. And then when you bring that carriage in, left leg will go behind the right, press out to plank, lifting the chest up, and then pike your hips up towards the ceiling to bring the carriage back into the top stopper. You're using your deep abdominal muscles to lift those hips up, and we're just staying pressed out in that plank for a pause. One more to go. Good work, you guys. And then when the carriage is all the way in, you can step off the box. I'm bringing my box back a little bit so that way it's out of the way for later. And then I'm going to put on one heavy red spring and take off my light spring. Feet will go up against the shoulder blocks, knees on the carriage for down stretch. Hips are pressed forward, chest is lifted. Use the arms to press the carriage away, keeping the hips down. And then as you bring the carriage in, the chest will lift up towards the ceiling. Just trying to slow our heart rate down a little bit. Last one. And then bring the carriage all the way in. Round the spine, sit back towards the heels for roller coaster. Arms don't move. You're going to use the legs to press the carriage out so the hips are down, and then come up through that last half of down stretch. Once the carriage is in at the stopper, you'll round through the spine, sit the hips back towards the heel. Use the legs to press out, hips will lower. Keep the chest lifted as you bring the carriage back into the stopper. Last time through. And bring the carriage all the way in. You're going to come up, place the heels halfway up the shoulder blocks. Arms are still on the foot bar, press out to plank, and then using the arms, you're going to press the carriage back even more, and then use the arms to bring the carriage forward. So just a moving plank here, using the arms to press out and bring the carriage back in. Last one, and then bring the carriage all the way in. Step forward, round your spine, coming into elephant. Keep the heels down as you press the carriage out, and then bring the carriage back in. Arms don't move, you're pressing out with the legs, bringing the carriage back in with the core. If you have pretty good hamstring flexibility, you can lift the toes up off the carriage. Last one. And then when the carriage is all the way in, step off to your right side. You're going to put the left knee up against the shoulder block. Right leg will be forward. Bend into the right knee as you press the carriage out, feeling a stretch, a much needed stretch into the left quads. Bring the carriage back in. Then you're going to put the left foot up against the shoulder block. Left knee will be down. Press out again, bending into the right knee. Now feeling a stretch more in the left hip flexors. Bring the carriage in. Press out one last time on this side, this time keeping the right knee straight. You're going to lift the right toes up so we have a stretch into the back of that right leg, the hamstrings, and the calf. And then bring the carriage back in again. Walk around to the other side. You're going to put the right knee up against the shoulder block. The left foot is forward. Bend into the left leg as you press the carriage out, feeling a stretch into the right quads. Chest stays lifted. Bring the carriage in, place the right foot up against the shoulder block. Left leg can go forward more if you need to, then bend into the left knee to press the carriage out, feeling that stretch in the right hip flexor, a little bit higher up than the stretch we just did. Carriage comes back in. This time you'll keep that left knee straight as you press out, feeling a stretch into the left hamstring and calf, and the left toes are up. And then you could bring the carriage in. We are all done. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the workout. Please save, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.